Hello and welcome to another ramble from the Honest Football Podcast. I'm Craig Savage, and with me, as always, is Mr. Daniel Cody and Mr. Charlie Betts. You can obviously watch this video on YouTube and obviously on audio platforms. Daniel Cody, where are the audio platforms?
The audio platforms are Spotify, iTunes, and anything else that may well be good.
And potentially in the future, Cody, we might be doing memberships on YouTube.
Apparently so, yes. So for anyone who wants to support, there'll be a little join button below, as well as the usual subscribe one. We would never ask anyone to, but if you want to, of course, it makes a massive difference.
So let's get on to, we didn't do a February ramble because we were all extremely busy. Yeah, as Charlie posed his hands up for audio.
It was my fault.
Yeah, it was Charlie's fault.
Yeah, someone decided to go away for half term. In that time, Charlie, have you watched any football?
I haven't been to any live games apart from an under-11s football tournament. There's been a few times, Craig, where I've been unlucky, where I might have been able to watch you, but then your game got cancelled, and vice versa. Oh, that was something else I was going to talk about later on, was your groundsman thinking that I was the opposition checking up on your pitch. But anyway, that's another story for later on. And
well, let's go into that before we go on to Daniel Cody's adventure around the UK of football. You're obviously a teacher, and you had your under 11s school. They took part in a football tournament down in Reading. How'd you get on?
Yeah, so basically what happened was, and Dan actually played in this a few years ago. So he likes to remind me quite often.
More than a few.
What happens in school football? Quite often, if you win your town sort of tournaments, then you win a county tournament. Quite often, if you do that, you then go on to represent not just obviously your school, but then the football clubs start to get involved a little bit, and you go on and represent Luton Town as such. But Luton Town, obviously, because it's the only professional team in the county, it's essentially all of Bedfordshire. Whereas, you go down to London, there's so many different teams. So to make it a bit fairer, what they do is they get you to represent your club of your local area. And then we had to go down to Reading, and the way they've done it recently is they split it by whichever league the first team was in. So obviously, Luton being in the Championship, we only played against other representatives of Championship teams in the south of England. I mean, I say the south, Derby County were there, so sort of shows you where the line is in terms of demarcating the Championship. It reminds you a bit of when we used to talk about the Conference North and South and how Brackley Town ended up in the Conference North, etc. But yeah, cut a very, very long story short, we actually, the school team went unbeaten the whole day and beat Millwall in the final, which is a very exciting game, 4-3. The crux of all of it is they now go on to play the winner of the North tournament, which could be as far away as Middlesbrough or as close as Nottingham Forest. I say close, but in terms of where that line is of splitting the country in half. At Wembley Stadium, the only thing is I'm not too sure if it's before the game or at halftime of the Championship playoff final, but they basically play the final to see who the best Championship school, if that makes sense, is. So the upshot for me, all of it is I don't get to play in front of 80,000 people in the richest game of football. But what I do get is a free ticket to the Championship playoff final, which, given the team that I support and the fact that there's those tickets, even if you did support the club, go like hotcakes. Hopefully, I'll try and get a blanket one for you two as immediate representatives or something like that. But no, so for me, on a selfish part, I get a free ticket to Wembley for the Championship playoff final. So, but I didn't have to do any work for it. The kids have gone through 3 separate tournaments, beating teams from all over the country, and I reap the benefits of it. So thank you very much, gentlemen.
And the one thing I wanted to add on that, Craig, is I can't wait for those of you that have been long-term viewers on the channel for Charlie's Matchday vlogs to explain the shape of Wembley Stadium. I am looking forward to that, Richard.
It has an arch. Why is there an arch?
I feel a slight injustice, and I say this from a selfish point of view, of that Dan's been all over the country watching football. Craig plays football all over the place. Has been to various games. Like you both went to the other ends of the football pyramid. Hemel versus St Albans. You've been to Royston, and it feels a bit of an injustice that I get the most probably prestigious game of them all on TV. So I do feel a little bit unfair on you two. So I will try my best to get a ticket, but I can't guarantee anything.
Well, you'll get the richest club game in.
I haven't put in the hard yards, to be honest, in the way that you lads have.
But the thing is,
we have a night at Hitchin for crying out. It's borderline, Arctic conditions when he went. So there's no justice in this, but I do apologise for that.
But the thing is, Charlie, you get to go to Wembley. You get to go pitch side at Wembley as well. So
I get to go technically on the pitch, or admittedly on the cone. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But talking of playing on the pitch, Craig Savage. Now, if you remember,
nice
previous
segue.
Ramble, well, there's an even better segue because the previous ramble we left it as I was going to be playing football. I was the one making the comeback. But unfortunately, due to the weather, even though it was the most softest of calling off of a game I've ever seen, I've not actually played since. But Craig Savage, you've made a glorious comeback, and Dan, you were there to witness it. So I don't know who wants to kick off from which perspective, from the sideline or on the pitch. But Craig, that comeback of yours, how would you rate that?
Well, the decision behind it was purely
controversial.
No, it wasn't controversial. No, it was literally balance. I'll be one of my centre halves. He's obviously left-sided of the centre halves. He got injured in training on the Tuesday before. And me and my other joint manager, Richard, we had a discussion about it. And he goes, "You're gonna have to play." And I was like, "Okay, fine." No, like, nah, I don't really want to. Okay, fine. Who was against? Queen's Park Crescent. Obviously, they're a very good side. You have to mentally prepare yourself. There's literally 4 days to mentally prepare yourself to actually run around for 90 minutes, which I haven't done for a very long time. Obviously, yeah, Daniel Cody went to watch the game. There'd probably be a clip somewhere of me or a picture of me in my away kit. And it was not the best of games. I'll be brutally honest. I don't think I was going to get many games. Obviously, I had one more since.
Well, I've got to say, a highlight for me was that I wasn't able to attend.
Your dad attended.
My dad came all the way from Wales to watch you play, Craig. Remember that? However, I had the next best thing, which was Daniel Cody's written updates of the game, which is
live text commentaries.
Live text commentary, which I've got to be honest, there was all manner of metaphors, similes. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful read. But Dan, over to you from your perspective.
Yeah, I think, look, what we've got to bear in mind is we're all men of a certain age and we're all men that have been on operating tables for a significant number of hours. And taking aside, we have talked about injuries many years ago. It is more the mental side of the game that you have to prepare for, isn't it? Because physically, we all believe that we're 21 for the first 10 minutes when we've got an adrenaline rush. Although Craig, fortunately, because the ball spent so much of the time in the wind in the middle third of the pitch, didn't really have to touch the ball for the first 20 minutes. And I did send Charlie live updates. In the first 25 minutes, me on the sideline, I had more touches than Craig Savage. So there was one positive to come from that. I had a lovely chest control before Craig had even touched the ball with his feet. So it was an interesting game. It was, all jokes aside, a very scrappy one, awful weather conditions. It was freezing cold, but you won the game and you are still in a title race. And quite frankly, that proves the decision right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It was a scrappy winner. I would have taken 0 at half time. To go 1-0 down wasn't nice, obviously. But we had chances. Actually, to be fair, we had chances before that first they scored. But no, it was credit to the side. I think once we switched halves with the wind, I always knew we was going to win the game. But yeah, obviously it's nice to be back playing. Do I really want to be constantly playing? No, because it took me, after that first game, it took me nearly a week to recover at the grand age of 33.
Yeah, I'll just give a couple of highlights from Dan's commentary. I won't do all
Yes, go for it. Yeah. Pick some highlights. Pick some highlights.
One of my favourites, if I'm honest, was there was a few bits going on, and then it was, and I quote, "Throw against Crawley. We simply hear Craig remarking ricochet to the ref." Excellent clearance from Savage under pressure following an attacking throw. In a bizarre turn, McKinley starts a rendition of "Once I Caught a Fish Alive" from the touchline, perhaps in reference to the 5 players not tracking back from a corner.
All factual.
And it turns out, all later on, I think after we got to the bottom of it, we weren't sure, Craig, if you were one of the 5 named players or not.
I wasn't. I wasn't. I thought I was halfway between that, though. I'll be brutally honest. But no, it wasn't me.
The upshot of all of it is, whatever happens with this podcast future in any way, shape, or form, we know that Dan does definitely have a future in live text commentary for the BBC if they need anyone reporting.
Yeah, because BBC, like I do enjoy the live text commentary for the BBC. The Sky Sports ones do have some cheeky digs at times. Obviously, there was that Peterborough Reading one where they said this is a great advert for Sky Bet League One for 2022-23 season.
All I can say is I'm available to both platforms if they want to make an offer.
Other platforms are available.
I'm not fussy. Any platform, I'm willing to discuss terms.
As you've seen one game, Daniel Cody, you have seen other games in February and March. You didn't go to this particular game, but you watched it and you was live streaming on Twitch, which was the Kidderminster v West Ham game. That was the epitome of an FA Cup tie, a proper FA Cup tie.
It was unbelievable. And to be fair, that 4th round was a great weekend. We saw some really good ties on the telly, which made up for the 3rd round dramas. That Kidderminster game was unbelievable. You thought it was going to happen. It was the 91st minute. And when your England Euro 2020 finalist has to come on and save the day, you know that it's been one hell of a slog. And Kidderminster put up a great effort. But obviously then the next day, Boreham Wood did the unthinkable at Bournemouth and got their reward at Everton just last week as we're recording this. So that made up for it a little bit. But the non-league sides, and I think it's a point that a couple of Premier League players have made, that the gap between Premier League and non-league is probably as small as it's ever been, particularly the bottom half of the Premier League, where there are some poor teams this year. And it's been really great to see how narrow the competition has been. We've not seen a lot of those 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-0s that we've seen in previous years.
Yeah, obviously that prime example of Kidderminster is West Ham, like a 6th tier versus a top tier. And I think what made that tie special, I think having the fans there as well. I know we had a year and a bit of no fans at these grounds, but the fans made a hell of a difference. And obviously seeing West Ham equalise and the manner how they celebrated equalising the West Ham fans just purely shows how much the FA Cup still means to quite a lot of people.
I thought that was the beauty of the Boreham Wood story, is the fact that it was a little community club that's lived within its means, that's worked its way up slowly. And like we said in the last ramble, where they'd beaten AFC Wimbledon, which I was lucky enough to see in the flesh. When's the next time Boreham Wood are going to have a sellout at that ground? Realistically, it's a day that most of those, and I know it's a lot of people that come from the community and other fans that go in like myself to watch the game, but for those 1,000 that go there every week and watch non-league games in what is largely a half-empty stadium most of the time, they're the sorts of days and the atmospheres that you probably make a lifetime on. And then the away at Everton, the away at Bournemouth, they're nights that will be remembered forever. So that's the beautiful side of the FA Cup.
I think what also closes the gap is the ex-Football League clubs that are still in the National League as well. It's getting closer than ever. You think there's about half of the National League sides are pretty much good enough to be top half of League Two. Forget the Wrexham money, all that stuff. They are very good sides, and it's tight again in the National League. It's always tight. Every year it seems to be tight. I think that's where the gap closes. But moving on, obviously you said you watched the Bournemouth game. You went to a few Luton games as well. Obviously Luton on good run of form, and obviously Luton's reward of beating Cambridge was the FA Cup 5th round tie against Chelsea.
Yeah, it was it's another one of those, isn't it? Even for Luton to have an atmosphere like that at a stadium for the first 15 minutes of that game, I don't think I've seen that for a long time. And if it wasn't for the unfortunate goalkeeping injury, I think the momentum was with us and we could have shocked Chelsea. But it is what it is. One of those things happen, and we're now down to our 5th goalkeeper of the season on emergency loan. But that's the beauty. That's the other side of the FA Cup when it goes wrong. But otherwise, look, I can't be any happier. Luton are in playoff contention. They're winning all the away games that I'm not going to. And they're winning most of the home games, which has been brilliant to watch recently. But a few more planned in the next month. Hopefully they're a bit better than Middlesbrough away, which wasn't a particularly good performance. And last time we were here, I was talking about Sheffield United away, which wasn't a very good performance. So let's hope Hull's a bit better next week.
What did you think of the Riverside Stadium?
Not bad, actually. I quite liked it. It's bitterly cold on a winter day because it's just on the river, obviously. So it is windy, to say the least. It's sort of in that category of the older modern stadium. So it's got the sort of the bowl feel, but it's not soulless as such because it was done in the 90s. So nice stadium. Wasn't particularly full on the day we went. It was an awful game of football, to be brutally honest. Don't be fooled by the 3 goals. And both teams and the officiating team were poor, which didn't make it shining good light. But as a stadium, it was great. Charlie will love the fact that the pies and the drinks were very cheap. And one of the few grounds where when you went in, you could actually watch the football on the TV. They had a fan bit outside with drinks and that. It was a proper football club.
That's your main game. You obviously did go to a non-league game as well. You went to watch the rearranged fixture of Hitchin versus Tamworth, which I went to the original one. I couldn't go to the rearranged one. It
was wet. It's the first one.
It was a wet evening. I know.
Rain by the looks of it.
I mean, I messaged you guys at the start because I was genuinely worried it was going to get abandoned again because there was standing water before we started, but thankfully it cleared up as we went on. A decent game. Hitchin are obviously one of our most local sides. They're scrapping for their lives at the bottom of step 3 of non-league football. And unfortunately, as with so many clubs at that level, when they have a player that does well, they often make the move to the National League North or South. And that's happened with a few of their star attacking players. So they're scrapping a little bit at the minute. It's probably between them and Biggleswade, another local side we've watched earlier this year. So hopefully at least one of them can stay up. And next season, there'll be better times to come because it's not been a great season on the pitch for Hitchin.
Let's go to Northern Ireland. There obviously was another ineligible player craziness moment.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely don't know how to unpick this one. It's about the 3rd time it's happened this season. The first 2 were inexcusable. That was just laziness on the paperwork front. This one was about Joe Crow, who plays for Glentoran. They won their Irish Cup quarterfinal against Newry, just gone. And unfortunately, he was sent off for the reserves. And so he had to miss 3 games, but they counted 3 reserve games. And one of those reserve games was a cup. I can't remember. It's called the Intermediate Cup or something like that, in which only the reserve team can play. But I think this happens even at Crawley's level, Craig. If you play a certain amount of games for the first team, you can't then play for the reserves in certain cup competitions. I don't know which ones, but it's all about. And so because he played 16 times for Glentoran first team, it then meant he was ineligible for this cup game. But Glentoran counted that as one of the 3 games that he'd been suspended for. To be honest, I don't understand. And the further development today, is the day of recording, is there is some software called Comet, which they use in Northern Ireland, in which they said that the software hadn't banned him, so that's why they picked him. Because in Northern Ireland, you do your team sheet online, which again blew my mind. I still assume they just handed over pieces of paper, but they don't now. I think it's done on a computer and it gets uploaded. And that software should say, yeah, he can play, he can't. But something's gone wrong somewhere. So is it a computer error? Is it human error? I don't know. But trying to unpick this is an absolute mess. And there's 2 sides to it of, realistically, other teams have been booted out. So by the letter of the law, should Glentoran be kicked out? However, you are talking about one of the biggest teams left in the competition. But from a Ballymena United perspective, and my father-in-law knows the chairman there, they would obviously be quite keen for Glentoran to go out, because that means Newry City of the league below would go through, and Ballymena, you would obviously have an easier route to the final. And that could be worth up to 200 grand, which for part-time football clubs is a huge amount of money. So there's going to be a lot of politics that isn't related to football that's going to sort this out, unfortunately. Some of it being, bigger fan base from Glentoran, they want them at the final. It's all of this is going to come into play, which is so sad, really, when it should just be decided on the football pitch. And realistically, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think the fella was ineligible. I think if he's had a 3-game ban and he can't play in a cup match, so be it. And it's such a mess, absolute mess. And it's like we always say, football being decided off the pitch, which is not what we wanted.
So if you obviously, let's go around the room here. If you obviously a juror, Glentoran have staked their claim, Northern Irish FA have staked their claim. As an independent adjudicator, would you kick Glentoran out of the cup?
If the software allowed him to play, or the software didn't flag up that he was ineligible, then I don't think you can kick him out. Because if the software that they use for all games says that he's eligible, and it turns out he wasn't, then I think that's the computer error, not them. So for me, I would say they have to stay in the cup. If it was done by just someone filling in some paperwork somewhere, albeit it's incredibly, incredibly harsh, you probably have to go with the letter of the law. So for me, if it's the computer's fault, they have to keep him in.
Codes?
Completely agree.
Oh, I would have said no. It's a very tough one to call.
Yeah.
And you can see it being a split. I don't think it'll be unanimous. Both sides have a case, but I unfortunately would have to harshly kick them out of the cup.
And now it's time for our quiz of the Ramble. And it's not Guess the Fine this time. We're back with You're the Ref. I know it's Craig and Charlie's favourite game. They love it when Keith Hackett says play on to everything. But as you know, each You're the Ref is associated to a particular player and star from the footballing world circa 2010. What I will say is that you'll be surprised by the star today, because this star is David Bentley, once labelled the next David Beckham. The image isn't great. The image isn't great.
What would you score out of 10?
5, but there's a Fernando Torres above that's a good 9. So I'm not being biased. It's a great book, but I don't want to get sued. So for those of you that have never been here before, we get 3 refereeing scenarios that are niche, controversial, or maybe just damn right hard. And Craig and Charlie tell me what they would do if they were the ref. And normally they don't get very many answers right. So number 1, I don't know what they're insinuating about David Bentley here. Maybe it's him that should be doing the suing, but a superstar want-away midfielder has spent the summer trying and failing to leave his club. He's furious with his manager. So in the first home game of the season, in which he's picked, he launches a bizarre protest. He races towards his goal with the ball in an attempt to score an own goal. His captain sees what's happening, chases after him, and violently fouls him in his own penalty area. He does that before he can shoot. What do you do, and how does play restart? And this is one of the first ones where I'm reading it and I haven't got a clue what I'd pick.
Well, I remember over the years a few times, there was obviously Lee Bowyer, Kieran Dyer. I think it happened with Blackburn back in the 90s, where 2 players have come to fisticuffs.
Yeah.
And then they've been sent off. Now, when we say about a violent tackle, I mean, if he's up by the knee, studs up, then I think he might have to send him off. My what's the word? The thing I'm stuck on is I don't know how you stop play and then how you restart play to that. Do you give an indirect free kick to the other team? Is it a drop ball? I think it must be a red card. And I'm not saying that because he's the last man. I think it's because it's violent.
He's the last man.
But no, because he denied a goal scoring opportunity, in effect.
It never stated he was the last man. I just point.
All right. Well, sorry. No. I don't know how you restart play. Red card for obviously the violent tackle. You can't send off a bloke from running towards his own goal and potentially trying to score. Drop ball, but I'm not convinced about the restart of play, if I'm honest.
Why is the manager picking him?
Well, good question.
Great question.
I have to agree. Send off the captain for a horrendous tackle. What do you do about Bentley? Oh, sorry, it's not even Bentley. Sorry, David Bentley. Sorry, David. Sorry, David.
Craig, you're procrastinating. Can I have an answer?
I don't know.
It's the restart of play, isn't it? I don't know. You can't give I'm not influencing you, but I don't
drop it to the keeper. I think the new way, obviously, the ball referee just drop it to the keeper and then play on from there. But red card for the captain.
I think Keith might say that you could use some common sense and maybe speak to the manager about substituting him.
Yeah,
but if that's in the answer, I'll be a bit pissed off because that's got nothing to do with the actual laws of the game.
No, you can't have a referee influence the manager say, yeah, you better sub him off, mate. I'm about to send him off. He probably send both. Knowing Keith, he'd probably send both players off.
Time for a moment of truth. And Charlie, I think on a rare occasion here, you're going to owe Keith an apology because he did the opposite of what you're going to accuse him of. So let's get this cleared up. And you've both fallen into the trap again of trying to find a roundabout answer rather than going for the obvious. So Keith agrees with you. Very bizarre set of circumstances. But he says your action is very clear. First of all, you've got half of it spot on each. Half a point all round. It's an act of violent conduct. You have got no choice but to show a red card. And you're right to use analogies. I think a couple of years ago when Stephen Payne headbutted one of his teammates for Grimsby, and that one, he got sent off as well. Secondly, though, the players started with an indirect free kick to the opposition, which Charlie flirted with for a brief moment at the start. Given from where the offence is committed, because it is still a foul against the team. So it's as simple as that. It's a weird one, but that's the action here. And thirdly, the accusation that Charlie made is completely unfounded. And I'd like to say I completely agree with Keith on this point because he said, the actions of the midfielder are beyond your control. It is up to the manager to remove him from the game. You do not get involved at all.
I'm surprised to learn it was an indirect free kick because in my head, there wasn't an offence made against the team who didn't have the ball.
Right, on to number 2. And this one, unfortunately, is one that players do have to deal with a bit, but you're going to judge a unique reaction. So we've got a player who is being abused by fans as he tries to take a corner. In a rage, though, the player turns, aims a foul gesture at them, and storms off. As in a foul gesture, not it's a foul gesture as in swearing or whatever.
Oh, right, okay, fine.
Obscene gesture, let's change the word.
Yeah, so that's a better word.
Yeah, so I'll rewrite the book. I'm available if they need me. He storms off, goes straight down the tunnel before taking the kick. You've taken no action and he's already disappeared. So he's gone. He's in the dressing room at this point. Can his side bring on a sub? And how do you restart play? 2 questions Keith wants the answer to.
How does he restart play?
Just remind me then quickly, he was about to take a corner. Is that right?
He can still take the corner.
No. He's left the pitch. He's gone.
Yeah, but sorry. Yeah, but he can still take, not him personally, but the team can still take a corner.
Oh, right, yeah. But what are you doing with the player? Can he be substituted or what are you doing?
I'll send him off. Yeah,
but he's gone.
Because
what are you showing the red card to?
Just the matter. Just brandish a red card that he knows he's sent him off. You speak to the manager, say that he's left the field of play. I'll have to send him off because he's left the field of play illegally. And plus he's made an obscene gesture to the crowd, which you can't do, making the crowd racked, and it could spark a riot, for example. So I unfortunately, the player gets sent off. Can they make the sub? Obviously not, because I've sent the player off.
It's a tough one. I mean, because I don't know. Does he get a straight red or does he?
They still get the corner, by the way. They still take the corner.
Yeah. Does he get a yellow for the obscene gesture and then a yellow for leaving the field of play, not without permission? I don't know if that's the right term, but that sort of thing.
I can see that.
Trying to get my head now.
No, I agree in a way. He's getting carded. That's.
Yeah, and I can see Keith using the phrase that we always love, which is match report, and I can see this being mentioned in the match report.
Oh yeah.
For the FA to then deal with retrospectively afterwards. So
but that's if he seen it. If he's seen him swear.
I think you have to restart play of the corner because the ball hasn't been put back into play. So that's the second part of the answer first. I think just so to make it slightly interesting, and I do probably think it is that. I think I agree Craig gets sent off, but I'm thinking it's for 2 separate offences. So 2 yellows, and he's sent off. So no substitution, restart of a corner, put it in your match report. And because it's 2 yellows, I don't know if he can appeal it anyway, but I'm not sure how that works.
That's if he. I have to agree. Yeah, that's if he's seen the player swear at the crowd.
So you're both going for a red card, and you're both going to restart with a corner.
Mine's a straight red. Mine's a straight red.
Yeah.
Charlie's just 2 second yellows. 2 yellows. Sorry.
Well, on that front, you're actually both right because there's going to be 2 slight separate connotations here based on bits you've pointed out. The reason I was looking away in almost disgust at parts of that answer is because Keith has upset me. Keith has upset me.
Oh no, not again.
And
no,
maybe rather than threatening to sue people for calling his book good, what he might want to do is get someone to proofread the questions he's asked and make sure he's answered all of them. Because I have read this answer from start to finish 4 times, and at no point has he referenced how to restart play. So, Keith, you've asked 2 questions and you haven't answered one of them. So someone's not the ref, and it's not Keith Hackett, is it? So that's that bit done. Right, let's get on to the bit of the answer he has bothered with, which is the sending off, which you both have gone to in a very different way. So the first thing is you need to make it clear to the manager of the team that the player has been sent off, and you will not allow a sub to replace him. The foul gesture means the player is dismissed in line. And look at the specifics he's gone to here, in line with Law 12, offence number 6, but hasn't said take the corner at the end. I mean, we're talking about basics. And this is the bit where Craig comes in. Even if the player's gesture wasn't a seriously offensive one, or you didn't see the full extent of it, it would still be a bookable action for inciting the crowd. And he would still get sent off because he would pick up another yellow for leaving the field of play without permission. So technically, he could be sent off for a red or 2 yellows. And in the answer you both gave, you're both right. So you both pick up, well, I have to give you a full point because he hasn't bothered answering the other questions. So I have no idea if you're right or not. But we've decided that we're going to restart with a corner. So Keith, thank you very much for not bothering to do your one job.
It's only fair. Take the corner.
It's only fair. Let's move on to number 3. I'm raging now. I'm more upset than Charlie is normally in Guess the Crime. Sorry.
We're on the last. Sudden death.
Still got
1.5 each.
Yeah.
1.5 each into number 3. Thankfully, this question's a bit shorter. A young forward dashes up to you to complain that the goalkeeper is breaking the rules by bouncing the ball before taking his kicks. He says each bounce counts as releasing the ball, and you should take action. Simple question, and I hope Keith's answered it. Is he right?
No.
I mean, I'm sure I've seen keepers bounce the ball.
Yeah, I've loads of keepers do it. So no. If he drops the ball and then picks it up, then that's illegal. But if it's bouncing the ball, that doesn't count. It's like the same motion of when he's kicking the ball and then the striker wants to take it off while he's in the middle of his kick. Yeah. So he's still in that pattern of
good use of the word pattern.
Thank you. So now you put me off. I was going to say, it's that pattern of obviously taking his kick. So no, it still counts. There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't want to. I'm not doing this to be competitive because I would like to have got a winner, but I think I have to agree with that. I can't see how. Well, surely that would have happened in real life. We'd have seen an example of this, and I know that's not the best way to describe it, and it's probably not what Keith said. But I can sort of see why he's trying to set a trap for us, but I think we're too wise to fall into it. And I'm probably going to regret those words in about 2 minutes. But
thing is, the
next I can't see that. If he's bouncing it, you know, you're going to start going down a like basketball routes. He's bouncing it 1 hand, 2 hands. When does it release? He's clean up, thrown it on the floor and picked it back up. So for me, nothing. You know, you just need to tell the striker to worry about his game and scoring goals and leave me alone. I'm
next game you watch, you'll probably see the keeper do it anyway.
Yeah.
Next thing you go to watch, you'll see the keeper at least do it.
I remember back in the day when we were growing up, there was the 6-step rule and all that nonsense. But keepers have a free reign of their 18-yard box to do what they want with it, as long as obviously once they put it down on the floor and for I don't know how you word it, but yeah, clearly it's not a bounce.
Keepers nowadays taking it a long time to even with the ball in their hands.
6-second rule's gone.
Yeah. So yeah, I know obviously this is an old book.
Nice try, Keith, but you're not going to catch us out.
Yeah, Keith. Answer the other question first before you get to this one.
It's an interesting point, actually. I just want to sound a slight side note. The bouncing of the ball from the goalkeeper is going out of fashion very slowly, I would say.
No, they should just drop it and then they pass out to the centre half.
It's one of the sad losses of the modern game is the bounce.
What was the point of it, actually, before we get the answer? Why did keepers bounce the ball? Was there any advantage to bouncing it?
No, it's same as tennis players before a shot. It's probably just a composure thing, isn't it?
Oh, okay, yeah, good point.
Keep calm.
Yeah. Let me give you the answer because we have got a record. This is the first time in, I think, 23 episodes of You're the Ref, if we take the standalones and in the quizzes, where both players, Craig and Charlie, have got over 2 points because you're both absolutely spot on. You are too wise to be fooled. The law states the goalkeeper is considered to be in control of the ball while in the act of bouncing it on the ground or tossing it into the air for the goal kick, using the other simple example. So the goalkeeper has not committed an offence and he's finished off just to win you back over, Keith, when you've got irate with him, with your favourite phase and ours that probably pops up in our chat the most. Play on.
No, that was a well played draw, Craig. Actually, that was a high scoring draw.
Yeah, I think we kind of know the rule. I think Keith has to blame for the for some of the questions.
Yeah, if I'm honest, if I was to sum up Keith's performance in that, I would say lazy. That was a lazy round from Keith. You know, he didn't finish one of the questions, and the third question was too obvious a trap.
He's like making the decision just because he heard a call from an opposing player.
Is it maybe that it was the easiest one to draw?
It's the easiest one, and he's switched off. He's easily switched off. And I remember that, I was listening to Anthony Taylor's podcast with the High Performance with Jake Humphries, which is a very good podcast. I really do recommend listening to it. And he basically said,
but listen to ours first before we do that.
Listen to ours, but then obviously listen to that one, even though it's very popular and probably number one in the charts. But please, right, make our chart higher, please. But he was saying the Burnley-Swansea game when he gave the handball penalty to Burnley when it came off the hand of Sam Vokes. And he goes, I was in the wrong position. Two, I switched off. And now I'm panicking because I was just blown. And he's looking around. So, obviously, yes, referees made mistakes and Keith's made the mistake of not answering an actual question. So...
I can't remember, Craig, I think it's 17 different teams that I've played for. One of the coaches once said to me, this is how bad it can't run, but 99% concentration, 100% failure. And that's an example of it there, Craig.
Oh, 100% agree with you there. Not 90, but 100.
and I'd just like to finish this You're the Ref with a well done to both of you for getting a 2.5 out of 3, which is the most you could have got given the answers. And Keith, hire a proofreader.
And let's see what we are looking forward to. Charlie, are you actually going to go to a game?
Before Wembley, probably not. No, I will endeavour to go to one. But Craig, technically, you have got 4 games in a week. I am technically signed on for you, so I might be a bench warmer at some point. So the comeback might. They
are away trips, but everyone is valuable to this. Whoever signed on at the moment. There's about 68 players signed on, but everyone is valuable. Everyone's got a bit part to play for the league title. Hopefully, we can be up there.
Last thing I'll say is if you need a 10-minute Kevin Davis target man, just get me up there. I'll win flip-ons galore for you.
Daniel Cody, anything you're looking forward to? Non-league day is obviously by the time this ramble comes out, it will be non-league weekend. So where are you going?
Well, I think for non-league day, I'm going to watch you on non-league day itself because you are my most local non-league side and I should support that. So I think I'll be watching your game. It's the last international break of the season, which is the 26th of March. One of the things we saw when there were a lot of Championship and Premier League games postponed over Christmas and New Year, and we went to a few and saw ourselves, is record crowds in non-league. And if we can get more of that, then absolutely brilliant. If you've got a National League team local, half of them are involved in a title race at the minute because it's that tight at the top. So it'd be great to see people down there. And the National League has set all sorts of records this season. So looking forward to that. Hull away the weekend before this ramble will be released to the public, and Huddersfield and Peterborough the week after the international break. So lots of trips to come. And the only other thing I want to mention, because it's the last ramble well in advance of it, is the week before we go to, hopefully, the Championship playoff final supporting Luton Town, is non-league finals day, which is a favourite of ours. 2 games on the day, normally about 25 quid a ticket. You get to see the FA Vars final, then the FA Trophy final. A good 6 hours of entertainment, especially if the first game goes to extra time. And look, we wouldn't have even known about Quincy Rowe if it wasn't for that. And now he's a household name in this podcast. So, look, on a serious note, if you can go to it and you can get to Wembley on that day, I think it's the second from last Sunday of May. It's an absolutely brilliant day out. It's brilliant value for what you get, and it's quality. It's absolutely quality. So if you can go to it, go it, and we'll see you there.
Yeah, I think we've got a side that's quite local to us that's still in the FA Vars. So hopefully they can get all the way to Wembley. I think Newport Pagnell.
All right, brilliant.
Obviously, we're recording this on the 9th of March. They have their FA Vars game on the 12th of March away to Whitchurch Alport. So good luck to them. Good luck to all the teams in the FA Vars, and good luck to all the teams in the FA Trophy. And we are obviously do look forward to going on non-league finals day. We thoroughly enjoyed it last time. And that is it for our ramble in March 2022. Give this video a like, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, give us a review on Apple iTunes and every audio that's available. I'm Craig Savage, that was Daniel Cody, and that was Charlie Betts, and that was Ramble.